before we move forward, I would like all the participants to introduce themselves and tell them where they belong to, if they belong to any organization as a writer. And then we'll have a question and answer session with the author. Can you first please?
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I'm Professor Dr. Basima Shahzad. By profession, I'm a linguist, and presently I'm Dean, Faculty of Social Sciences, working at Yale University, Islamabad. And under me are different departments, Department of English, having linguistics and literature, both, education, psychology, and various subjects of humanities.
Thank you.
And I'm Communication Advisor at the Embassy of Portugal, Islamabad. I'm Farouk Sheikh, working as a Visitor Ambassador at the Embassy of Portugal.
I'm Zina Ziad. I am an economist by training and a historian as well. But I have been a professor various times. Right now I'm just a freelance historian trying to educate people about our history. So I read that chapter after, and then I start to listen to things. Doors closed, windows, and everything. And I just called my husband, so someone is here, you have to come. And it wasn't, it wasn't. So the mind is so tricky, I was so amazed with that. How come a character in a story can live like that inside yourself, It happens a lot. So I have another book now, I'm doing it. And sometimes I dream with them. There are 4 women. It's 4 women from all over the world, so not just Portuguese. They just came to Portugal. So that's kind of scary and amazing at the same time. The other question was,
Although I think I know a bit of answer to the second question.
Okay.
Do you write for yourself?
No, I don't write
Or
for
you write
myself,
for-
but at the same time, I write for the others, but I write myself. Like, it is mandatory for me to write. I've been writing since I was 6. You just write poetry, something. When I was a little girl, I want to be a cooker, because I really now in these days I love to cook. So, but I think I want to be a cook also. And then I learned to read and I learned to write, and I started to write a lot, but I need to write just that.
But you are still a cook. You are cooking stories.
Oh, good. Thank you so much. That's a wonderful metaphor. It is. So, but now I have the courage to show it to people,
Both things, in fact, have one thing in common.
Yes.
Cooking also and writing.
Yes.
That you create something.
Yeah.
Cooking's up in your mind.
And you need spices.
Yes.
And the last question?
Yes.
Translation.
Oh, the translation, yes.
Once you
That's
read,
a very important one.
once you read your own translation, you
That's
feel
a very
that they have
important
done
question.
justice, or you think that something's being left out?
I'm just grateful for it, because every time you speak in English, you think differently from a Portuguese. Okay, so you dream in English, you talk in English, you communicate in English. So I don't. I dream in Portuguese. I dream. I speak with people in Portuguese. I connect with people in Portuguese. So the languages, how can I say? It's scientifically proved that there is a lot of connections in your brain differently. If you speak in English, if you speak in Portuguese, if you speak in French, if you speak in Urdu, it's all different. The way you're thinking, it's very connected with the way you talk. Totally. So every translation, as a Portuguese author says, it's a lie. Always. Because it's not you.
Exactly.
No, but the thing is,
he is a translator also, so he says that because he's so humble that he says every time I translate something, he translates from the Greek, the ancient authors of Greece, so the great poets of the classical literature in Greece. So for him, he's always lying because he can't make it perfect. That's just that because he's so humble and he thinks that every literature has his own thought. Every book has his own thought, and it's very difficult to put it. But for me, I just feel great, great. I feel so happy to have been translated because at the same time, someone took the time to do it. Someone took the time to make it fast. And I think the translators are so important, just like writers. They are the same for me. It's a great exercise. Thank you so much.
I think Paul always talk about their expeditions with a pride, sense of pride and superiority, and they look down upon those people who were colonized at that particular time. And the traces of this particular behavior are also found in their literature as well. Do you, your, but the role of a writer is not to justify that particular role of those people and their expeditions. Have any writers from the Portugal written literature with some sense of regret and resentment about this colonization of the world?
So that's a big regret. And we're talking about post-colonialism, of course, but because one of my great teachers is Umi Baba and Spivak, and Spivak has two questions about it. It's about the colonial and the colonialism. Everything is there, but about feminism also, because the characters of the colonialism, the ones that were colonized, are the same as women who were subjected in all of the centuries. So Spivak has a great work, academic work. She calls it Can the Subaltern Speak? That was one of the main texts, academic texts for me, for instance. And she talks about the almost very important for her is to talk about the colonial times and how come the characters of the countries who were colonized are not in the European literature. But in Portugal, that is completely different right now because I was talking about post colonialism theory, and every author are writing about it. The music in Portugal, it's not Portuguese music, it's music that comes from Africa, from Brazil. So we are now making a great reflection about it. Political reflection in music, literature, and everything. So, how can I say? My four women of my new book, one is African, another is Indian, another is Portuguese, another is from East, from Russia. So the literature has that obligation of making us all the same. That's what I was telling at the first. So now the young people, they don't think about it. In Portugal, we don't have it anymore because we are citizens of the world. We don't talk about Vasco da Gama just like a hero. We're talking about Vasco da Gama as a man who came here with a very big courage, just that. And colonialism, it's a kind of, I think, at my age, the age of my daughter, we regret it. Of course we do. Not because of this travel, because the travel, the Alexander the Great did the same, right? So everybody did the same. The great Chinese emperors, they did the same. So colonialism is after it, right? Colonialism was a game, was an economic game. That's not so good. So, but sometimes I think that karma is here. So Europe, United States, everything, we're getting it. So, but and there are very important historians in Portugal making now exhibitions and books about post-colonialism thoughts. There's a very huge exhibition for right now in Lisbon in our National Museum of Archaeology, and it's all about it. How come you represent? How do you represent the colonialism? How do you represent the people that you colonized? Okay, so how come you put their work of art, their thoughts, in a level that is higher? And we're doing it. We are. But the thing is, I think Portuguese authors are being now um, involved because we had a war also in Africa, and that was so tough for the Portuguese families and the African families. And but I think music and literature and poetry always mingle us, and the common people, not the politicians, but the common people, has a great connection between all of us. Because in Portugal, we have people all over the world, from around the world: Angola, Mozambique, Guinea-Bissau, India, Pakistan. We have a great community now from Pakistan there, and we are all in peace, I think.
Excuse me, now as Alexander the Great, is it not the tendency of the human mind to obey the oppressors, and how a conqueror, a killer of the people, could be great? And why don't we say Beethoven the Great?
Of course, but I'm not making a political statement here. Sorry. I was taught let me answer, please. I was taught to be Alexander the Great, like Napoleon the Great, and he killed a lot of people in Portugal also. He did. And what can I say? When you talk about kings, you just talk about men also. You don't talk about queens in Portugal, just one or two. So it's the same. I'm not being, I think, prejudiced about talking about Alexander. Sorry if I uh, say that, because yeah, I talked about great Chinese emperors, and they killed a lot of people. Even Japan emperors, great emperors, they killed a lot of people. That's now I'm saying we have the karma in Europe. There are someone killing a lot of people in Europe.
I'll be very short. You mentioned a very important thing, sir, but I think you are talking about human nature. Because look around this table, Pakistani people. What is Pakistani people? Is the fruit? You are the fruit of 4,000 of history, 4,000 years of history. So plenty of people from all around the globe, starting China, the Huns, the Farsi, the Sassanids, the Turks, the people of Central Asia, they came here. You are the result of it. How did they came? With the human way of doing it, coming and oppressing the other in these terms. You see, history, it's a perpetual repetition. People come, they are strong, and they want to manage the resources, to be the rulers, and it happened in all societies. You said the great, that's true. There is, you see, even the great Akbar. Of course, we mention it because of his enlightenment, of arts, but also the Mongol Empire. Of course, they expanded in a lot of directions at the cost of others. It's a human thing. It happens with. I'm not minimizing or excusing the bad that was done by the Portuguese, if you want, or by others. Of course, it was bad, but it's always the same standard. A group comes, and the aim is to take control, and someone will be oppressed. Unfortunately, is human history.
So let me tell you that it is interesting that there are a couple of authors, women authors in Portugal, they are writing a lot about their experience and their family experience in the colonialism, and they're not glad about it. They are totally sad about it. It's a great sadness that we have in our hearts. They've been children of the colonialism. White people, black people, and one of them is Isabela Figueiredo, and she's a Portuguese children from both of their parents are Portuguese, and she came out of Mozambique during the war, and she wasn't happy with Portugal. She wrote a lot about it, and Portugal doesn't go well there. And at the same time, Jamilia Ribeiro, her father was Portuguese, her mother was Angolan, and she doesn't write good things about it. But at the same time, I don't know if you know a great, I will say, the greatest independent uh, fighter of Africa called the Milcar Cabral. Have you ever heard of him? No. He was a great hero because he was the one who started the fight of the colonial war of Portugal in Guinea-Bissau, and he inspired a lot of the independence movements. Okay, so Amilcar always tell that of course he's dead, but she was killed by the Portuguese, so by the intelligence, and he always said that for me, I'm not fighting the Portuguese, I'm fighting the power of colonialism. For me, everything that happen here, we just have to make it different. We have to own our own land. But the Portuguese culture or the Portuguese language are perfect and very fundamental tools for us to represent ourselves. Understand? That's all about post